Rev your engines and fasten your seatbelts. It's time for Thunder Talk with Dan Bailey, keeping you up to date on everything going on this season at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. Thunder Talk is powered by Arcadia Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. Now, here's your host, Dan Bailey.
Hey, race fans, welcome back to another edition of Thunder Talk on WINONA Sports Network, 99.3 FM, and streaming live via WINONARadio.com. I'm Dan Bailey, looking forward to another great night of dirt track action this evening at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. Not only are you going to see all four of the regular divisions on the track getting some green flag action going tonight, but also the youngsters will have an opportunity to get involved. Yes, it's a return of the kiddie rides. I know that all the youngsters love that. You get to take a lap around the track in an actual real race car that will be competing at the track tonight. So bring the entire family out. Not only will you enjoy watching the action, but the youngsters will also have some fun with the return of the kiddie rides. And I want to remind all of you race fans that this is MTS Pre-County Fans Night number 5 of the 2022 season. That means residents from any of the following 6 counties can get into the grandstands absolutely free. If you are from Pepin County, Wisconsin, La Crosse County, Wisconsin, Wabasha County, Minnesota, Olmsted County, Minnesota, Chickasaw County, Iowa, or Clayton County, Iowa, show your proof of residence, for example, a driver's license, and you get into the grandstands absolutely free. So we're looking forward to seeing you at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. Before I introduce our guest for this week's edition of Thunder Talk, let me remind those of you who are listening via the Mississippi Thunder Speedway YouTube channel to like this video, share it with your friends, offer any thoughts, input, etc. in the comments below. And don't forget to click that bell so that you are notified of all future videos and interviews on the Mississippi Thunder Speedway YouTube channel. All right, let's get to this week's interview. A gentleman who is enjoying some great success this year, bouncing off some incredible success over the last couple of seasons. Jim Chisholm, driver of the number 24C in the modified division, is joining us this week on Thunder Talk. Jim, welcome. How are you doing this week?
I'm doing real good, Dan. How are you today?
I am doing exceptionally well, and I'm sure you have got a big smile on your face because this week got off to a great start for you, picking up your career first USMTS modified feature win on Tuesday night. Is that one of those moments where you just had to release the belts as you rolled into victory lane and think to yourself, wow, I can't believe this is happening?
Dan, I think this is one of those events where I'm still wondering if it really happened or not at this point in time, even a couple days after.
Coming off 2 years where you enjoyed immense success, being crowned the USRA B-Mod National Champion 2 years in a row, in addition to some track championships, how do you compare these successes, picking up that first high watermark USMTS feature win as compared to those national championships? In your mind, how do you compare the two?
I think this one really came a lot sooner than I thought it would have, just for the fact that, I mean, it's our first year in this, and it's just too early. But I think that, I mean, the national championships are sweet because you work all year on them, and you try and it comes down to that last weekend at the nationals, and, you know, your emotions are high. But, I mean, in that USMTS race when Ebro went by me, it's like, this is real. I mean, we got to go. And I mean, it was a lot of emotion that whole night. I mean, just to have all the fans that were there for them to come down because, you know, the USMTS did the best of the best.
There are some drivers who will strap themselves into a modified for years and years and never be able to enjoy a USMTS feature win such as you did on Tuesday night. It makes me wonder how you feel this transition has gone. You mentioned already that it seems like this happened earlier than you had expected, this USMTS feature win. When you made that transition from a lot of success in the B-Mod and moving up into the A-Mod ranks, what were you looking forward to this year, the 2022 season? How did you think it would go? What sort of goals had you set for yourself for this year?
Our goals coming into this year was to hopefully by the end of the year get some top fives. I mean, my biggest excitement for this year was the learning. I mean, it's a totally different type of race car, and learn about how to set them up, how to drive them, to learn from all the guys that have been driving. I mean, that was the exciting part about going into this year, and I mean, it has not disappointed in that aspect at all.
You know, when an individual who is perhaps not a really deep acknowledged fan of the sport goes to a dirt track and they see B-Mods and A-Mods racing. Visually, they look very similar, but as you just mentioned, they drive completely differently. You've got a huge learning curve trying to understand the different suspension components and the setups that you need to work with. Has it been a larger learning curve than you thought, or had you prepared yourself, do you feel pretty well in advance to figure this thing out?
Dan, I don't even think I can see the tip of the mountain yet on learning yet. I mean, I'm just getting into this, and if it wasn't for Kelly and Ben from AFCO and some of them, I mean, I'd be completely lost. I mean, I'd be so far out, but with their help is what's kind of kept me on track. So, such nice people to, just have an issue, and they have a fix for it. You can call them, and they just know what you need, and you do it, and it works.
We saw you at Mississippi Thunder Speedway early in the season during the Dairyland Showdown when the USMTS Stars and Cars were part of the big late model special. And you proved, I believe, to the rest of the field that you were coming into this with your head squared on straight and you were ready to battle with them. You had some great runs, and as we've already mentioned, that's culminated into a feature win already this week in the USMTS division. How about your weekly racing? How do you feel that is going at the regular tracks that you visit on a regular basis this year?
I mean, man, we race against the same people weekly as we do with the USMTS. Every weekly night is a hard night to win, and we got a USMTS win, but we're yet to win a weekly race. But I think that just goes to show how great the competition around us is in this area. I mean, we got so many good people racing at Deer Creek and Mississippi Thunder, and I mean, it just makes us better all around.
You do come into your modified career, your A-modified career, with a great, I'll call it a support cast, if you don't mind me putting it that way. Not only do you have a family who's involved and very helpful, you have a great list of sponsors. First of all, though, thanks to family members. Who's helping out Jim Chisholm Racing this year?
The people that are really close to us when we go to the racetrack in the pit is definitely Joe, my brother. He was my tire man this last week through this whole USMTS swing, and he was the one that threw out the ideas for how to make a little bit of our patterns a bit better, and by golly, it worked. I mean, he was the man. So we also got my mom and dad. I mean, without them, I wouldn't be able to do remotely close what I'm doing. My oldest sister and her boyfriend, Dan, they're always down in the pits helping us. My girlfriend, Hannah Lang, she's always down there. She's keeping me square. And then her parents, they come down also. So, I mean, they're the ones that are our pit crew. They're the ones helping us get ready every weeknight and making sure we're at the racetrack.
An excellent support network of folks who you have surrounded yourself with, both family members, but also new members to the family as the family grows. Now let's talk about all of those great supporters who have got their names on the side of your modified for this 2022 season, because it is a long list, isn't it?
It is, but without each and every one of them, we wouldn't be able to do it. We got Weir's Machine, Up Tower, Dan Standard, Red Can Sanitation, Carol's Corn, Status Spray Guns, LR Fault Construction, KC Lawn Care, Bug Munson Photography, Adams Graphic, Heinz Enterprise, Skyrocket Chassis, Bill Fox and Jane Engel, KS Engineering, Paul and Sarah McWilliams, AED Land, Relo Farms, Agro Liquid, Shady Service and Saloon, Curtis Farms, Randy and Sandy Norby, Kubley Farms, Mike and Kathy Clark, Bill and Brenda Weber, Swift Springs, AFCO Shocks, Limestone Brewers, Wayne's Repair, Sonny Jensen, Fast Shafts, the Johnson Family, Jay Toby, Jackie Crawford, Susie's Roadhouse, Southland Auto and Diesel, Bob Losey, Marcia and Keith Emerson, Ron Restoration, Dwayne Ramker, Jan Mann, Troy and Jennifer Lang, Ken and Tracy Hahn, Beth and Kevin Tubbs, S&S Meat and Spirits, Jeff Weber, Brew Pub Pizza, CBM, Steve Morum, Schaefer's Oil, Chisholm Trucking, Rich McDonald, Dan Feather, Our Farm, Charlie and Sue Rower, Weiss, Buick and GMC, Herb and Jody Wright, Boston Paula, Weaverleen, my grandma Chisholm, Jennifer and Charles Holperson family, Mike Molstead Motors, Doug Kleckner, and Lang Smiling Acres of South, Larry Lang.
That is an impressive list. Sometimes does it make your head spin when you think of all these businesses and other supporters who have jumped on board for this 2022 season?
It really makes me sit back and wonder, I mean, what they really see in me, but I mean, I can't thank each and every one of them enough. I love seeing them when they come to the racetrack. I mean, they're always in such good spirits, and they're great people, each and every one of them. I mean, so if you can go out and support them if they got a business, see them around, I mean, they're the people.
You know, they get to enjoy the success along with you. They get to experience the racing world vicariously through your on-track action. So they get to enjoy a lot of this success that you are enjoying as the driver of this modified. We talked about your USMTS win earlier this week. We talked about your past championships. Let's get down to the brass tacks, because racing through a season can be a struggle. It is a hard-fought struggle to get through an entire season. I think I'm looking at the updated stats coming into this weekend. I'm seeing about 20 events that you've hit already this year. Of those 20, 19 of them have produced top 10 feature finishes, 14 top 5s, and of course that feature win. Do you ever think to yourself, success like this so early in this step into the modified division is either dangerous, because some people can have some great early success and then relax a little bit, or is it really propelling you forward to even bigger and better results?
You know, Dan, that's a double-edged sword. I think it adds a lot of confidence as a driver and a driving standpoint, but I think it goes back to we get a race with the best of the best around here, so racing against them only makes me and everyone else around us better. I think it's a reflection of the people behind me, for sure. I mean, Kelly's knowledge and all the good products that go into this race car.
You mentioned something that I think is very important that maybe some folks might not realize. When you strap into that modified, obviously a lot of your success depends on the equipment that you've surrounded yourself with and getting that car set up. But how much of this racing game is really mental? How much of it really comes down to you as a driver either feeling like you can win a race or being ready to win a race? You know what I'm saying? It can be a very mental game, can it?
I would almost argue that over 50% of this racing stuff is all mental. I mean, if you believe you can do it, you can do it. And that's just been my philosophy ever since the beginning, and it just keeps proving to be true. I mean, the people that want it get it. So if you want it, you're going to get it.
We're just past the halfway point, I think you could call it, of the 2022 season, as we're getting into the midpoint of July, and August is going to be right around the corner, and then before you know it, it'll be all the specials of September and October, etc. I kind of ran through some stats there. You've had a great start to this 2022 season. What sort of finish to this 2022 season would make you feel like this was a successful year? Are you looking at stats, or are you really looking at coming out of the year feeling like it was a good season?
Really, for me, Dan, I'm looking more at if we can keep moving forward in features. I don't really think it really matters where we finish, but if we can keep moving forward, I'm going to feel like we had a great year.
Do you feel like have you had any stumbles yet, aside from trying to learn everything, which I know is huge? Has there anything that really has thrown you for a loop yet this year?
That spoiler in the back of this race car, man, they make it so hard to turn into a corner, it feels like, and I feel like that's been the biggest struggle point. Do
you think that comes down to figuring out how to use the spoiler by way of setup, or do you think it comes down to how to drive the car and use that spoiler?
I think a lot of it is driving, Dan. I feel like I catch myself under driving my race car way too often. You know, driving it too soft into a corner and, you know, just not driving it to the full potential.
Is there any way that you could even explain to somebody who's never driven a modified what it feels like? Is there any way that someone who just drives a car to work every day could understand what you feel like when you're in that car heading into the turns?
When you don't see that deer coming up in front of you and you got to swerve really aggressively to get out of the way, that's what it feels like every time entering a corner.
Oh my goodness. And that's through hot laps, through a heat race, through a feature,
yeah.
You know, 4 corners every lap, and you have to experience that, you know, mentally and physically every night that you strap into a car. That is a great way to put it into perspective for somebody who has never driven a modified like you do. Well, I tell you, Jim, it sure looks like your first season behind the wheel of this A-Mod has been super successful, at least for this first half. Congratulations again on that great win earlier this week with the USMTS Stars and Cars. Best of luck through the remainder of the 2022 season, and we can't wait to see you out on the high banks each and every Friday night at MTS. Again, Jim Chisholm, driver of the 24C Modified. He'll be at Mississippi Thunder Speedway tonight. Thank you so much for joining us on this week's edition of Thunder Talk.
Thank you, Dan. It's always a pleasure.
Race fans, don't forget that coming up this evening, a lot of action at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. First green flag follows the official opening ceremonies at 7:15. It is MTS Free County Fans Night number 5. Show proof of residence in Pepin County, Wisconsin, La Crosse County, Wisconsin, Wabasha County, Minnesota, Olmsted County, Minnesota, Chickasaw County, Iowa, or Clayton County, Iowa, and you get into the grandstands absolutely free, and all the youngsters can experience, to a certain extent, the same sort of excitement that Jim was just explaining to us, because it's the return of kids' rides on the big third mile in actual race cars. Not up to speed, but we'll give you a tour around the big third mile, and it'll be fun for the youngsters. Hope to see you all this evening at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. You can get all the details about this evening's activities and future events at Mississippi Thunder Speedway by either following all of their social media efforts or look them up online at MississippiThunder.com.
That was Thunder Talk, keeping you up to date on everything going on at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. Thunder Talk is powered by Arcadia Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram.
You ever notice that when you're on a fishing trip, you drive your boat all the way to the other side of the lake because you think that's where the best fishing is? And the people staying at the cabins on that side of the lake, well, they come and fish where your cabin is. You don't have to drive a long ways to catch the big fish. And at Arcadia Motors, you don't have to drive a long ways to get the best deal on a new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram truck. The best deals are right in the bay next to your cabin. Take the short, scenic drive to Arcadia Motors. ArcadiaDodge.com.